Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about goals. Now, I am very much a New Year's resolution bandwagoner. At the beginning of January, I set a bunch of goals, and by the end of the year, I've accomplished almost none of them, which is kind of the case this year. So in this video, I thought I would go over my 2019 goals and kind of assess how I did on them. Didn't do well, but we'll get there. And then I'm going to talk about my goals for 2020. I have my handy dandy bullet journal here where I have my list of 2019 goals. So let's get started. So here we go. In the very front of my bullet journal, I have my New Year's resolutions. There are 7 of them. I also have a word for 2019, which I will also talk about. So starting at number 1, finish all revisions on The Mystery of Us by November. So funny story. This didn't happen. This book is actually not even called The Mystery of Us anymore. It's called The Truth in the Night now. But when I made this goal at the beginning of the year, I had taken like a year break from this book. I wrote it in 2017 for NaNoWriMo, and then I left it for like a year. And then I was going to do revisions in 2018 NaNoWriMo, but I ended up writing something new. And then in the beginning of 2019, I decided to go back to it. I wrote 25,000 words of a draft and hated it. And so I left it. And then in May, I started writing my current book, and The Truth in the Night kind of fell to the back burner. But now that I finished my second draft of The Heart of the Beast, I feel ready to go back. It's going to be completely different. The only thing that's going to stay the same are the 2 main characters. And that's about it. Everything else is going to be pretty much different. I didn't finish all the revisions. I didn't even really work on it this year. But next year. But we'll get to that. So my second goal for 2019 was to run a 5K. This didn't happen at all. I'm not mad about it. It just didn't happen. It was a lofty goal to begin with. Maybe someday. Probably not 2020. Definitely not this year. But maybe eventually. Probably not though. Maybe. I don't know. Number 3. Number 3 was to read 25 books. I did not do this, mainly because 2019 was a year of writing. And if you're a writer, maybe you can relate to this. It's really hard to read a lot when you're writing a lot. For me, it's because of 2 things. One, when I've been writing all day, all I've been doing is staring at a screen full of words. And the last thing I want to do is stare at another page full of words. So my brain has had enough words for the day, and I can't do any more words. How many times am I gonna say words in that sentence? The second reason is sometimes, especially when I'm drafting, if I read a book that I really enjoy and I really enjoy the voice and the narrative style, I find that voice and narrative style seep into mine, and kind of it becomes the voice of someone else's characters and not mine. So I try to stay away from books, especially when I'm drafting, to just make sure I maintain my own author voice in my books. Now I'm a big reader, and so I am kind of disappointed that I think I've only read like 4 books this year, so here's hoping to next year, right? Number 4 is to journal 1 line a day, which I didn't do. All of these are like, here's my goal, and then I didn't do it. But it kind of goes back to the same thing with reading 25 books. It's hard to sit down and write more after you've spent an entire day writing. You're kind of sick of words for the day. So I didn't journal 1 line every day. This is a goal I keep making, and I keep not sticking to it, so maybe I need to drop it. Maybe journaling just isn't for me. But speaking of that, number 5 is a photo a day journal, which I have kept up. I have an app on my phone where I have taken a picture every single day this year, and I have kept it up, and I'm really proud of myself, and it's something that I do want to continue. So maybe writing in a journal isn't the best way for me to be a journaler or to keep memories. Maybe photos are. I just feel like it's a different part of my brain, a different creative part of my brain. So instead of writing, I can just take a picture, and it's a little easier. 1 goal I finally completed. Number 6 was actually one I completed at the very beginning of the year, and that's because it was a contest deadline. But basically, it was to submit my poetry book manuscript to Button Poetry, which is a pretty popular poetry imprint. They run a contest, a chapbook contest, I think every year, and I wanted to submit my chapbook to maybe get it published. It didn't win, that's okay. But with this goal, I found that it actually pushed me to start submitting my work places. A lot of those didn't get accepted, but that's okay because I published my own poetry collection. Subtle plug, link in the description if you would like to purchase a copy of my poetry book. And number 7, which is a pretty vague goal, and I try not to give myself arbitrary goals. I like to have like a quantitative, like you can definitely tick off the box, like you know you've done it. But this one I kind of added last minute because I felt like 2018 was kind of a weird year for me. And so in 2019, my last goal was to take better care of myself. And I actually do feel like I can check this off because I feel like I've kind of, I mean, I didn't run a 5K, I haven't taken up any exercise routines or anything, but I snack way less. I think I drink more water. I go on walks with my dog a lot more often. So I do feel like I've taken better care of myself this year. So that is something that I can check off finally. So I have accomplished 3 of my 7 goals, which it's kind of half, which isn't that bad. So let's switch gears and talk about my word of the year. My word of the year for 2019 was achieve, and I've written the definition: successfully bring about or reach by effort, skill, or courage. And I underlined courage because I think that was the main reason I liked this word, because it takes a lot of courage to achieve your goals, especially kind of your lofty ones, like getting published or running a 5K. Those things take a lot of courage to kind of muster up and just do it. Because the only thing holding you back is you, and I have to learn that. And I think I have learned that this year, that I'm the only one holding myself back. I have to really try for it if I want anything to come from it. So there's a little life lesson for you. So moving on to my 2020 goals, which I also have, I'm gonna cover this side because it has some stuff on it, but on this side I wrote out my goals for 2020. I am going to transfer this to my new bullet journal when I get it, but right now I just have it here. So this year I actually switched up how I'm breaking down my goals, so I have them in work and personal, and work is writing and YouTube and all of the things that go with that, and then personal is personal. I actually have 8 goals, one more than last year. And the way that I've set these goals up is a little bit different than last year. So this year, last year, this year, you know what I mean. So I've made them kind of broadish because in my mind, these goals all have steps to them that I'm going to break down like month by month. So for instance, the first goal on my list is to finish the Heart of the Beast revisions. And in that is also querying, writing a query letter, all of those things that are on the way to publication, which is the big goal. So when I write finish Heart of the Beast revisions, I really mean all of those things, which is kind of how all of these goals are set up. They have, this is this big goal, and it has a bunch of actionable steps that lead to an even bigger goal. So the next work goal is to work on short stories. Now, I like writing novels and I like writing poetry, but I don't do this in between that is short stories. I've tried, I don't think I'm very good at it, but I want to work on that in 2020 because I really like short stories. I think they're a different kind of creative endeavor, because with a novel you have like 50 to 100,000 words to build a story, but with a short story you have like 1,000 to like 5,000 to build an equally complex and interesting story, and I think that's really fascinating, people who can bust them out. So I want to try. So the next goal on my list is to publish. I wrote publish second poetry collection, but really in my mind that means I want to publish something else next year, whether that's a second poetry collection or a short story collection maybe, or a zine, I want to self-publish something next year because I really enjoyed the process of self-publishing my poetry collection, and I would really like to do it again. So that's a goal that I have. And the last kind of writing related goal is to work on The Truth in the Night, which I've already talked about. It's my YA mystery novel that I would like to start up again. And I say work on because I'm not really sure where I'll be with The Heart of the Beast next year, so I just wrote work on, whether that's brainstorming, drafting, if I finish it, then revising. I just want to work on it. And then the last goal in my work goals is to revamp my channel and my socials. So for that, I mean, I'm going to be updating all of the graphics on this channel and kind of revamping the brand, which I don't really like that word, but it's the best word I feel like to describe what I'm doing. And also I want to revamp my Patreon page, kind of give it a new look and add some new features to my Patreon, which is linked down below if you wanted to check it out, but maybe you want to wait until the new year to see what new things are coming. And then I also want to launch some new projects that I'm very excited about, but you will find out about soon. I feel like I'm always working on something that I'm like, you'll know soon. So those are all of my work goals. Now moving to my personal goals, I have way less personal goals, which I don't know what that says about me for work-life balance, but that's okay. So my first personal goal is to read 25 books. I'm going to keep making this a goal until I actually do it. This next year, I feel like it's not going to be so writing heavy like this year was, because I spent about half of this year drafting a book, and so I didn't read. But next year, I feel like it's going to be more about revising, getting into the publishing process, so maybe I'll have more time to read. And also I'm going to be graduating college next year, hopefully. So I'll have more time then to read. So read 25 books is on my list again, and maybe I'll do it. The next personal goal is the photo journal. I do want to keep it up. I don't know if I'm going to do it the same way I did this year and do it every single day. Maybe I'll just do kind of, if something happens that day, I'll take a picture of it and put it, or maybe I'll do the whole 366. It'll be 366 days next year, right? I think so. But I'm gonna do, we'll see. We'll see when I get to the end of the year if I decide if I want to do the whole year or not. But I still want to keep up with the photo journal because it's something that I have proven that I can keep up with. And the last personal goal, I wrote 1 Hydro Flask a day, but really, I mean, I just want to drink more water. I do have a Hydro Flask. It's like a 40-ounce big pink Hydro Flask that I really like, that's covered in stickers. Call me a Visco girl all you want, but it's a dang good water bottle. It's 40 ounces, which I feel like is a pretty good amount of water. I expect to be super hydrated, and maybe it'll help my skin and my nails and all of that. So I would like to drink more water, 1 Hydro Flask a day. So those are all my goals. Now my word for 2020 is create. And what I mean by the word create is to create things without fear of failure. And what I mean by that is I am a perfectionist to the point where if I don't feel like I can do something perfect the first time, I just won't do it, which is bad because that's not how you get to be perfect. You have to just be bad at it until you get good at it. And that's something I really struggle with. But for 2020, I want to work on creating things just to create them, not to sell them or post them, just for me to be creative in my own mind. I have this weird desire that when I make something, I want to share it with everyone, and I think I need to break that. It's not a bad thing, it's just, it takes a toll on my mental health because I feel like if it's not perfect, I can't put it out, and then nothing ever gets put out. So that's the thing with my short stories and doing any art stuff. I just want to create things, and then when I feel like I get good enough to put it out in the world, I will. So those are my goals. I don't think they're too unattainable. I didn't think my goals last year were that unattainable, and I only did 3 of them, so who knows? Definitely in the comments down below, let me know what your goals are for 2020 and if you accomplished any of your 2019 goals. Hopefully you did better than I did. Like I mentioned, my poetry collection is available to purchase now. I don't think if you purchase it today, it'll be there in time for Christmas. I might be cutting it a little close, but still, if you would like to get a copy, it's linked down below. My Patreon is also linked down below, as well as all of my socials if you'd like to go follow me there. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Happy writing!